Hey there, guys, and thanks for joining us for AMC Movie Talk. We'll get to the show in just a minute. As many of you know, the devastating earthquake has hit the country of Nepal and affected several other countries as well, killing thousands of people and leaving the lives of millions in chaos. We love talking about movies, but we're all also very aware that there are many other things much more important in life, and you can help put a glass of water into a kid's hand, a blanket around a cold mom. There are many ways you can help right now. Just get online and search for the various efforts from Red Cross, World Vision, or if you want a really easy way, get on your phone and text the word Nepal to 864-233. Once again, text the word Nepal to 864-233. That will automatically donate $10 to the efforts of UNICEF in bringing relief to the efforts and the people in Nepal. Thanks a lot for joining AMC Movie Talk, and thank you so much for donating and helping other people around the world. Now let's get on with the show.
Hey everybody, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeFries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is your editor-in-chief for AMC Movie News, John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the AMC Movie News headquarters in Burbank, California. Folks, it's here. It's Avengers Age of Ultron week.
Yay! Also here is AMC production manager Dennis Sen.
Thanks to you two and watching AMC Jedi Council, I decided to binge watch Star Wars Rebels this weekend.
Nice!
I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Awesome!
Yes.
Well done.
And AMC's Christian Harloff.
Well, not only am I getting people into Rebels, I'm getting the whole crew into Periscope.
Boo.
Yes, and I am the Periscope Emperor.
You are not getting the whole crew.
I guarantee you, I'll put money on it within a year. Once they put it on the app.
In a year, it ain't going to be around anymore.
Well said.
All right, folks. Hey, listen, as happens sometimes, you see all these great topics here on the sidebar, but something kind of dropped after we already wrote the show notes, and a new trailer, the first Red Band trailer for Ted 2, has dropped. It's now online. It's like a full 3-minute trailer, rather long. My one criticism about the trailer that's now online, it's a very poorly put together trailer. Like, as far as a trailer goes, it's basically 3 minutes of 4 scenes just kind of put in there. So, I mean, as a trailer, as an art form, it's not very well put together. But it made me laugh. The biggest thing that stood out to me, though, in the trailer was, remember that Ted 2 spot at the Super Bowl? They had that thing with Tom Brady. And then reports came out that they specifically shot that for the Super Bowl spot. It's not actually in the movie. Well, apparently that's not true at all, because it's in the new trailer. And that Tom Brady spot kills me. It killed me. And that's when it's at rest. That spot is so funny. I really dug the trailer. Look, I have a feeling that I'm not going to end up liking Ted 2 as much as I liked Ted 1. But that's not necessarily a really bad thing, because I mean, Ted 1 was way up here for me. Even Ted 2 ends up in here. That's a great spot to be, and I'll be happy. So while not a well put together trailer, it made me laugh and smile, and that's all it really needs to do. So, I mean, I liked it. Christian, you just watched it for the first time. What did you think?
I actually really liked it as well, too, because I haven't liked what I've seen so far, because I thought it was just going to repeat a lot of the jokes. But what I wanted to see, I agree with you, it wasn't necessarily the best put together trailer. But what it showed me is what I wanted to see, and that's the dynamic still being there and the jokes still being fresh, even though that they're the same type of jokes. That dynamic is there. And I laughed at some of the, I'm like, okay, that's really what got me in the first one. And it didn't focus as much as just him going to be recognized as a part of society. It was, here's the stupidity that you're going to get to, because that's why you want to see. You want to go to see a cursing bear. And you got that in the trailer, and the cursing bear is there, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
That's what you think about it.
I liked it a lot more. In previous episodes, when we reviewed some of the older ones, I thought they were only okay. So I like this one a lot more. Yeah, it's not like as put together of a trailer, but for me, this sells it much more. And I like, especially for R-rated comedies, I like seeing the Red Band trailers, because a lot of times they are hiding a lot of the good jokes because of the cussing or whatever, the mature themes of whatever they're talking about. And so for this one, it's definitely got me on the other side of now I'm much more anticipating the movie.
It's such a dirty trailer that we can't even recite any of the jokes.
No.
And that's when it's at rest is the only thing I can actually quote on this show at the time. So, but hey, it made us smile and laugh. All right, let's get started with the first official topic today.
The weekend box office report is in, and for the fourth week in a row, Furious 7 has taken the number one spot by making another $18.2 million at the box office, bringing its worldwide total up to over $1.3 billion. This moves Furious 7 past Iron Man 3 and Frozen to become number 5 on the all-time box office list, just barely behind Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, which it should pass in the coming days to take the number 4 all-time spot. Taking the number 2 spot this weekend for the second week in a row is Paul Blart 2, making $15.5 million. In the number 3 spot is the new Blake Lively Harrison Ford film, The Age of Adeline, making $13.3 million. In the 4th spot is the animated film Home, making an additional $8.3 million. And rounding out the top 5 is Unfriended, making an additional $6.2 million. John, what stands out to you about this weekend's box office report?
Well, Furious 7, I can't remember the last time a movie held the number one spot for 4 consecutive weeks. Of course, I mean, it was only standing up against the might of Paul Blart 2, but still 4 weeks, people are still going out to see it, moving in to become the number 5 all-time box office film. It probably will pass Harry Potter, which, I mean, who would have predicted that? Who would have predicted that? Now, it's most likely, I'll go out on a limb and take a stab at here. It's not going to catch the number 3 spot. It's not going to catch Avengers because Avengers is still like over 200 million in front of it. And while Furious 7 has had a nice, easy ride the last 4 weeks, it's about to run into Avengers Age of Ultron, which is going to put a stop to that. I'm going to take a wild guess here that the reign of Furious 7 at the number 1 spot comes to an end this week.
Good guess.
Just a wild guess. I'm going to step out.
You're really putting your neck out there, John.
Taking a big risk. My nickname is Captain Obvious. But the other thing that really stands out to me, Unfriended. $25 million this film has made so far. I'm pretty sure they made this movie for what you would spend to buy some McNuggets. And they made $25 million. They've got to be thrilled. No extra sauce. Yeah. And you know what? It's not a bad little horror film. Like, come on. We all chuckled when we first saw that, Tris. Come on, I mean, it's interesting, but they're playing on the fab of, oh yeah, we're going to talk on multi-channel. It's actually not bad. 25 million. They got to be thrilled. So those are some things that stand out to me. Dennis, what about you? What stands out to you?
What stands out to me is that this movie, Paul Blart, is still making $15 million. I don't know who's going to see it, but it's not me. The one thing I'm glad about it being in theaters now is I don't have to see that damn trailer anymore.
They played it a lot, man.
Yeah, and every single movie, it didn't even have anything to do with it. It could be like a horror movie, an action movie, a sci-fi movie. They played that damn trailer. And so I'm just glad that's done with. The other movie I want to talk about, it actually isn't on this list, but almost made it on, was Ex Machina, at number 6. It made, I think, like $5.5 million. And I really enjoyed that movie. It expanded, not like as full as some of these other movies, but to like about 1,200 theaters. And I think a lot of people should go check it out.
What stands out to you?
The entire list. Everything has something to talk about. Obviously, like you said, with Fast and Furious, the fact that movie is going to surpass Harry Potter, I would have lost my house if someone would have make that bet. I would have looked at them like they were a moron for making that bet. And I can't believe how much it's made. So obviously, Paul Blart, same thing, but the first one was so successful, and because there aren't a lot of other, it is a family film. It's kind of goofy. You shut your brain off to see it. I don't want to see it, but I was at the movies recently, and I heard someone go, 2 tickets for Paul Blart, and I wanted to go, really? but there you go. And Age of Adeline is another one. I think that movie made the right amount of money for the particular audience it was going after. 13, 14.
I think they should be happy with that result, actually, too. I'm impressed.
It's in the top 5. It's going on. It's in the summer blockbuster season. The fact that it did that. Home sticking around there is another one. Just
5th week in the top 5.
Also showing there aren't a lot of kids movies yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with you. Unfriended is a movie that it cost nothing to make. They shot it in a day. So their first week they made their money back. So to be in the top 5 is pretty special.
If we all bet our houses, I think John Snett would own all of our houses for Furious 7.
All right, what's next?
20th Century Fox has released our first look at Cody Smith-McPhee as the new Nightcrawler in the upcoming X-Men Age of Apocalypse. Nightcrawler was previously played by actor Alan Cumming in X-Men 2, but the character was never seen again in the following films. X-Men Apocalypse is scheduled to hit AMC theaters 13 months from today on May 27th, 2016. Christian, what do you think about the new image of Nightcrawler?
Listen, I love Nightcrawler. I love what Alan Cumming brought to it. I love the way that Bryan Singer presented him in that first movie. He was one of the best characters ever in an X-Men movie. And I think he's going to be portrayed brilliantly in this movie. I don't love the image so far. And that's just one still image, only because it looks like Michael J. Fox playing Nightcrawler. It's just like skateboarding through the thing. But then it could come to life right after when I see the scene and I go, oh, he looks amazing. I know it's going to be amazing. Bryan Singer knows this character. He's worked with the character before, and this kid's a good actor. It's just the particular image for me, I don't love.
Yeah, I think John Schnepp's next film should be the disappearance of X-Men's Nightcrawler, What Happened? Because X-Men 2 comes out, and they lead off that movie with that opening scene in the White House with Nightcrawler attacking the White House. One of the best opening scenes.
Still holds up.
Yeah, absolutely still holds up. He was a crowd favorite. He fit perfectly into the story. That movie ends with him with the X-Men in the Oval Office. And then like his teleportation, he just disappears and he's gone. One of these days, seriously, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, Bryan Singer's going to write, My Life by Bryan Singer. And I hope he tells the story about really what happened, because there's no logical reason why Nightcrawler suddenly disappeared from the X universe. We've heard lots of rumors and lots of stories, but it'd be nice to hear the definitive thing, what happened there. Now, that being said, I am with you. I look at this picture and it looks like a live action incarnation of a WB Saturday Morning Kids cartoon version of him. And yet I still like it. They still capture, look, if you ever look at a character poster and you don't know instantly who that is, then they're doing something wrong. I look at this poster. Hey, Nightcrawler is here. Boom. He's supposed to be younger. I get it. And I think you're right. If it wasn't Bryan Singer directing this, maybe I look at that picture and go, okay, it doesn't work for me. But because I look at it, clearly they're capturing Nightcrawler, and I know it's Bryan Singer doing, I have faith in it, so I kind of like it. What do you think?
I'm with you with the opening sequence of X-Men 2. It's a fantastic sequence with Nightcrawler. As far as the image is concerned, I'm kind of more with Christian, where it's like he looks like he's kind of like trying to fashion off clothes, like sell these clothes, like check out my cool jacket, check out my pants. And then his haircut, it's like an emo rock star haircut. So if it was purely just on the image, I'd probably have to sell it. But because, like you said, Bryan Singer's behind it, I trust him.
All right, folks, we reached that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Sinead's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and then Dennis, Christian, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Sinead, what do we got?
According to The Hollywood Reporter, just prior to beginning his shoot on the upcoming film, The Big Short, actor Christian Bale suffered an injury tearing his ACL. The injury hasn't thrown this film off schedule due to the fact that Bale's role has no physically demanding elements to it. However, Bale's next scheduled film, The Deep Blue Goodbye, has been postponed by Fox Studios due to the injury, since the role would require a large amount of physicality. James Mangold was set to direct the thriller, which also featured Game of Thrones star Peter Dinklage and Nicola Peltz. Dennis, buy or sell that Fox will still make The Big Short with Christian Bale as the lead?
I'll buy it. I mean, Christian Bale's one of the top actors today, and it's a lead role, not like a supporting role or small role. So they want to keep someone of this caliber in their film, so they're going to do everything they can. They're going to shoot around him. They'll wait for him. I just don't see them trying to find someone else to replace him.
I'm going to sell it. I don't think we're going to see this movie made with Christian Bale in the lead. An ACL injury, anywhere from 6 to 9 months for it to properly to do the types of things you're talking about him doing in this movie, a lot of the action, because it is a action heavy story from what I've been reading. And his schedule is packed. On top of that, James Mangold's schedule, he's got 3 other films waiting to get going. His schedule is going to start becoming an issue, and Fox's production unit is going to become an issue. I think this film either just gets put on the shelf, period, or they're going to recast fairly quickly because time is not on their side. Christian?
You guys both make great points because it can go either way. I think I'm gonna go to the buy sell. Buy sell. I'm gonna see.
Really sticking your neck out on the line like me earlier.
I think buy, because it's not a Marvel, DC, Star Wars property to where it's like we've got to get this done now. Like this has to be done now. It's like, no, do we want to make this movie the way we envisioned it with the star that we wanted? And it's a question, like Dennis said, how badly they really wanted Christian Bale. If why this project was going around, like, look, Bale is the guy for this. We weren't in that room, so we don't know how they put it together. I agree with you with schedules, though. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think if it was on the table, buy or sell, it's going to happen in the next year. I'd probably sell it. But if it'll ever happen, and I think they want to do it with Bale, I'll buy it.
All right, what's next?
Well, speaking of James Mangold, the director is also gearing up to helm the next Wolverine film, and he'll be doing so with a new script. According to reports, Heroes, Green Lantern, and the upcoming Blade Runner sequel, writer Michael Green is developing the new script following a previous draft by David James Kelly. The new Wolverine film will mark the final appearance by actor Hugh Jackman as the character. Wolverine is currently set to hit AMC theaters on March 3rd, 2017. John, do you buy or sell Michael Green writing the new Wolverine?
Surprisingly enough, I'm going to buy it, even though that term Green Lantern is in there. And I've always kind of contended that the problems with Green Lantern start and end with his script. And that's true, but that doesn't mean we ignore the rest of his work. And he's done a lot of really good television stuff. He's done a lot of stuff for Smallville. Yeah. And I was a big fan of the earlier season in which he was writing. Heroes is one of my all-time favorite shows. Obviously people like him enough that, he's writing the new Prometheus. He's writing the new Blade Runner. So clearly people are looking at what he's producing and they're happy. Maybe, Green Lantern was just a real expensive life lesson for him to learn. And hopefully he's corrected his way. So on pure optimism and hope, I'm going to say buy. Dennis?
I'm going to buy it as well because of what you're talking about, his resume. He's done Smallville, Heroes. He did that one short-lived show, Kings, as well.
That's right, yeah.
I think he's doing Blade Runner 2. The other guy, David James Kelly, really hasn't done much, so he doesn't have a huge resume that I can look at and go, oh, yeah, okay, this guy was better for it. So I'm going to buy it for now.
Christian?
I'm going to buy it as well. I'm going to buy it because of Mangold. And
I never thought all three of us would buy this.
Well, I'm going to buy it because of Mangold and Jackman. They know this franchise. They know what they want to do with it. They're not going to. Mangold's going to have a say on what writer's going to write it too. So he's not. If there's a guy that comes in going, "Oh, that's the Green Lantern guy," no thanks. He probably heard the guy's take. So the guy's a professional writer as well too. Whatever. The Green Lantern, absolutely, the script was not great, but that wasn't the only problem with that movie. It started with the development, the directing, everything, and it just collectively was a slop house. So when you put together now a team that does collaborate well with Mangold and Jackman, and they bring this guy in, he's got a good take, and like you said, he's working on Prometheus, he's working on Blade Runner. Maybe he's had a resurgence in his head. He's just now he's looking at approaching these things a different way. So I buy it. I think he's probably going to come up with a pretty good take or has come up with a take, and hence why he was hired.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address in the show, just email it in to amcmovietalk@gmail.com and see if we can get your question on the air. So right now, Sinead's got the mailbag out. Sinead, what do we have?
Jennifer Glassmount writes, so I was reading an interview with Joss Whedon yesterday. I do that way too many times. Joss Whedon yesterday, where he was saying there isn't really a Marvel Cinematic Universe outside of the movies. Basically, he said Agent Coulson is dead and the TV shows aren't really connected. What gives? What is the MCU?
You know what? I read these interviews he's been doing this weekend, and even I was like, Joss, what are you doing, man? What are you talking? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Joss has been doing a couple of interviews, and he didn't specifically say that the television stuff is not connected to the movies. He didn't come out and say that. What he kind of said was, he goes, honestly, he sounded like he was starting to air a little bit of dirty laundry. And he was saying, look, that's all that stuff, that's a product of the television department. That's not us. And he was pretty clear in saying, look, we killed Coulson. They want to bring him back, and that's fine. But as far as the movies go, Coulson's dead. And it's like, okay, this sounds. And he says, I highly encourage you to look up the interviews he's done. He did two specifically that really stand out, but look those up and read his comments. And it feels like, man, we know he was been tired doing the Avengers films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's basically been quarterbacking the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, obviously under Kevin Feige, but they're flying him into remote locations to write same day rewrites on 8 pages for Thor or here and all that kind of stuff. So he's worn out, but it sounds like he's a little bit bitter on it as well. A couple of things that stand out to me in this thing is number one, Joss Whedon was, when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started out, everybody tried to trumpet the name Joss Whedon as much as they possibly could. This kind of really tells me he had very little to do with that show other than getting behind it and giving some notes and then sending it on its way. The other thing that stands out to me, I think, at least if you listen to Whedon, what he's saying, and there could be a lot more to the story than this, okay? So I'm just basing this on what Whedon's saying. It sounds like, yeah, all the television shows are going to be influenced by what happens in the movies, and the movies will be absolutely influenced zero by what goes on in the television shows. Which, you know, I like the DC approach. I like keep a separate television universe and a separate movie universe. Everybody has much more creative freedom. You can explore a lot more different things. And so far, no one's getting confused with the DC stuff. So why would they Marvel? But they've gone a different way. You know what? The best word to describe all this is confusing. For a lot of different levels. I don't know why Joss is coming out and saying stuff like this now at this point. It sounds like maybe the relationship between him and Disney is not ending so well. Pure speculation on my part. Let's be very clear, pure speculation. But I don't know, Christian, you read these comments, you read these things he's coming out and talking about now. How does it strike you? What's your first impression of it?
I really disliked the comments a lot. And I'll tell you, because you said he didn't have much involvement. Didn't he direct the first episode?
Yeah, he wrote and directed the first episode. He wrote first.
And the first episode is when Coulson comes back, and he wrote that. So
apparently he wasn't happy about it.
No, I can't do it, and I'm mad at myself for writing that Coulson just came back.
What? It's like I don't understand. It's for him to say that, and him to be the one. Yeah, he's done amazing things for this franchise. Avengers 1, Avengers 2. He really has, and I know he's like he is a geek god. But he's not the one that should be saying this. Kevin Feige should be saying this if that, in case, it's the truth that it doesn't fit together. Because I haven't seen a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D., but what I have seen from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that they reference a lot of things that's happened in the movies with stuff that happened in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, going that way, but it doesn't come back.
But there's things that happened, particular things that happened in Winter Soldier that happen in the same time period, the same time, like it's happening.
Right. Once again, though, it's the show that gets influenced by happening in the movies. The movies aren't steered by what happens in the shows.
I guess, but it still has those characters. It's like an alternate universe where this guy. That's like you said. It's way too confusing, and it's not. Yeah. And I think that you either stick with it or you don't. Like you go the DC route, or say no, everything is canon from here. This is from whatever happens. Because I thought. Oh, I don't want to say that almost was a spoiler, but I'll just I'll save it for our spoiler review on Avengers.
Yeah, one other thing that added the confusion is why say this? He also made the comment in one of these interviews that he made more money doing the Dr. Horrible web thing than he did doing Avengers. It's like, why say that?
He says things like that all the
time. And everybody knows how much I love Joss Whedon.
Mm-hmm.
I love that dude, but I'm like, why are you saying that? What good comes out of you saying that? I don't know.
Well, he must be talking about the first Avengers, because I'm sure on the second one he got a lot more money. I think it was one of those things how they got the actors. You know, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, when they first got him in, they paid them very little amounts for the first movies that they did. I don't know. I think maybe he is going to take a break from Marvel. He also mentioned he was curious about doing a DC movie or directing a DC movie. I think they really wanted him back for Avengers 3, and he just said, no, I don't want to do it. And now he's kind of at that point where I'm just going to say whatever because I can go do other stuff.
I might go the other way on that. I might think that he wanted to do Avengers 3, and they probably.
So. I was shocked that he was even coming back for 2. Like when you sit down and talk to Joss Whedon, that dude, not only do you tell right away how completely emotionally, physically, wrecked he is right now for the way he's done these movies, but then you listen to him even talk about it, and you can tell in his answers while he's really. Up until these recent interviews, he's still waving the Avengers flag and trying to sell the movie. But I've always gotten the impression from him that he cannot wait to get away from them.
Broke
I really
his leg
do.
On the last one too, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like on crutches directing a lot of it.
Been through a battle.
The Coulson thing, it kind of confused me as well. I think the way I took the interview was that in his own mind, none of that stuff happens and Coulson's still dead and all that stuff. Yeah, he did write and produce the first one, and not only that. The showrunners of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are his brother and his sister-in-law. Yep. So it's not like he's that far removed from that series.
Which adds to the confusion of the comments.
Yeah, and then also the whole thing, because he talks about Coulson and bringing him back and how it doesn't bring weight to the first Avengers anymore because he does come back. But lest we forget that he did the same thing with Buffy and Angel with the character Spike. At the end, he dies, then he comes back in Angel.
But in Joss's defense, he did just flat out kill a lot of characters.
Yes.
In Angel and in Buffy.
Do you guys think that it's because I know that a lot of people who watch S.H.I.E.L.D. has said that it's gotten better over the last season or two. But do you think because it wasn't as beloved and there were a lot of complaints? I mean, we've certainly complained about it on this show a few times too, that maybe that's another reason why it didn't fit into the same type of love, that maybe they're like, oh, maybe we step back a little bit from this and say, well, that's not exactly influencing this. And
I don't know, what year does Inhumans come out?
like 2018 or
18 or 19.
I'm wondering like how much of, because there's a lot of Inhuman stuff going on in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm wondering if any of that is going to that's really going to be the telling sign. When that movie comes out and they have nothing to do with what's going on with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now, that might mean, okay, forget about that.
Well,
I was about to say something that's a major spoiler in Avengers.
But I want to hear Marvel's thoughts on this, though, because Marvel has to say something. Because for me now, I say, well, wait a minute. There's been rumors that Daredevil is going to eventually join the Avengers. But if they're saying that this is the TV separate from movies now, does that mean that we'll get a different Daredevil, or will this Daredevil show up, or do these events? Because in Daredevil, they mention a bunch of things that are happening that have happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's really confusing. Someone from Marvel should make a statement to clarify.
I think Marvel is smart enough that they're not going to say a thing.
Really?
I think they know if they say anything at this point, it's going to prolong the I hate using the word controversy, and I don't even think the word controversy applies here, but it will just prolong the controversy at this point. So, and remember, the other interesting thing, this reminds me of, you were at that Disney presentation at the El Capitan Theater, right? And somebody asked something about the television aspect. And Kevin Feige, now remember, Kevin Feige is listed as executive producer in a lot of shows. Kevin Feige at that thing straight up said, I don't have anything to do with the television stuff. That's a totally separate department, has nothing to do with me. You are the head of the MCU.
Right.
And he's like, I have nothing to do with it.
But he didn't say, though, that they weren't canonized.
No. Didn't suggest that at all. I think what it looks like to me more and more is that all the shows can clearly reference all the movie stuff, show that they are influenced by the movie stuff, and what happens in the movies has to become canon in the universes. But what I'm wondering is if they've set that up as a one-way street where the movies do not have to like follow anything that happens in the TV shows. So it's just funny, they make an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then the next movie that comes out, they destroy S.H.I.E.L.D. And so S.H.I.E.L.D. is completely influenced by it. And oh my God, I want to say a spoiler for Avengers that goes directly to this point, but I can't. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's confusing. Let's see how it shakes out. I'm sure Kevin Feige's got a plan for what happens after the departure of Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon's going to be just fine. Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be just fine. Just some curious stuff. I hope that answered the question. Anyway, what's next?
Kyle Cruz writes, Hey AMC, love the show. I was wondering, what are some specific songs in movies that whenever you hear them, they automatically take you into that world? A couple of mine are Binary Sunset from Star Wars and Concerning Hobbits from Lord of the Rings. Thanks and keep up the awesome work.
Well, if you're going to talk about songs as opposed to score, because you're kind of mentioning score stuff. If I think of songs, there are two, very embarrassingly, that really stand out to me. One is the Bryan Adams, Everything I Do It For You. That's moment. Yeah, every time I hear the song, all I see is Robin Hood in my head playing out. I mean, it's really effective that way. The other one, and no one else will say this one, I don't know why, but the Smashing Pumpkins song 1979 in Clerks 2. It was so perfectly used and so perfectly placed that now whenever I hear the song, all I think about is Clerks. I don't even hear the song anymore. I just see Clerks in my head, or Clerks 2, I should say. So those are a couple that stand out to me. What about you?
I went more in the score. I'm kind of a score junkie.
Yeah, me too.
So when I hear particular scores, that takes me into the world right away. And one of them is Hans Zimmer's Time from Inception. The second I hear that piece, just I picture them all on the plane and going into that world. I mean, the Jaws theme, obviously, when you hear that, even if you're near a bath, you jump out of the water. Indiana Jones, same thing. In the very beginning, we were talking about before Back to the Future, the beginning of it. I hear that, and I have Pandora. I have like the Alan Silvestri station, and that comes up, and I just stop, and I always have to listen to it, and I feel like I'm time traveling. Those are kind of the ones that pop out in my head.
What about you, Dennis?
For a split second, I saw this picture, and I thought it was one of those pictures that they play during those compilations for romantic songs from the 1970s or something like that. For me, the score for Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh my God, yeah.
Godfather, and then any song from Goodfellas. If I hear that, it's straight to Goodfellas.
Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Blake Feely writes, recently the Jared Leto Joker has blown up on the internet, leaving room for memes and jokes based on his self-referential tattoos. Do you think that this is the real Joker that will be featured in Suicide Squad? Or with Photoshop being so easy nowadays, were the tattoos added to get people talking and seeing what could be before showing the actual Joker?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, David Ayer himself tweeted the picture out. So this isn't some fan-made creation. I did my own reaction video to the the Joker appearance on our channel. You just look it up on our YouTube channel and you'll see my reaction to it there. But some people, so it's a real picture. Now, some people are suggesting that this isn't actually what he's going to look like in the movie. This was a kind of a tribute to a certain a Joker anniversary. I wouldn't dismiss that if that was actually, somebody said that to me, I wouldn't dismiss that out of hand, but I have no hard facts backing that up. So I tend to believe this is the Joker we're getting in the movie. Now, look, my brain is split two ways on this. On the one hand, I do not like it. To me, I look at it, it doesn't say Joker to me. It looks like a cross between a Marilyn Manson and an English soccer hooligan. And they had the spawn of some wild love child. So that's one thing. No, but on the other hand, when you think about what is the spirit of the Joker, this all-encompassing madness and whatever, when you think about that and look at the pictures, like, that kind of captures the spirit of the Joker in many ways. And so I got this part of me that really likes it, part of me that doesn't like it. The grill in his teeth, a lot of people pointing out, hey man, Batman has knocked this fool's teeth out. That would actually be a really cool explanation for his teeth if that's the way they're going. So I have not come down on my final position on it. There's things about it I don't like at all, and there's things about it that I really like. Give me a few more days to figure out where I really fall. You've been able to marinate on this picture for a few days. What jumps out to you?
Well, first of all, I do for some reason. I don't know why. I have no reason to think this. I don't think that the tattoos and all that. I think that was tribute from the pictures that I've seen side by side. I don't think he's going to wind up having the tattoos, but I think the face and the look will be what we get. And even if he does have the tattoos, I have to be honest with you. And I know I might get hate for it. I actually enjoyed it, and for a lot of, and I like it for the reasons.
I didn't mind the tattoos actually.
The whole thing, for the reason why you have to be different. Like, Heath Ledger just did probably the best Joker of all time, and then if you just have to change it up, because if you do something too similar, oh, they're just trying to be Heath Ledger, or oh, it looks like Jack Nicholson, or oh, it looks Cesar Romero. That's radically different. Like, that shows that's David Ayers and Jared Leto's Joker. You know that from seeing it. It's very different and something like we haven't seen before. And both pictures that have been leaked have been from Killing Joke so far. I mean, I've had at least references from
the camera, this one.
I will say the best meme I saw so far was the picture inside of a Home Alone picture. That was the best one I've seen. But so far, I dig what I've seen.
Dennis, what do you think?
I'm fine with it. I'm kind of in the minority there, because most people, like on my Instagram and Facebook that I read, they either loved it or they hated it.
Yeah.
And I was fine with it. The one thing I can live without is the damaged tattoo on the forehead.
Little too on the nose.
It is on the nose.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's a bit much. But the other tattoos, they're going to be covered up anyways. It's not like hopefully, he's not going to run around without his shirt on the whole time. So if he has, whatever the classic Joker garb, then I'm fine with it.
Have you seen that animated thing going around online right now? It's the Joker in a tattoo parlor's office.
No.
He's sitting down with the tattoo artist. He goes, and on my head, I want damaged. I want the word damaged. And do you have a nice cursive font that we can put that in? Because I want people to get me when they meet me. It's
how many ha-has can you get on my chest?
Yeah.
Well, here's a question for you guys. Do you think that it's possible that maybe there were a certain amount of looks that they had for the Joker, and they said, let's see what they think about this one, and they dressed them up and they put it out there to see what the world thought?
It's always a big theory amongst us fans that when pictures leak, whatever leak, that one of the things we automatically jump to is, do you think the studio just put that out there to see how the people react? I think there were probably a dozen Joker looks, but I honestly don't think they're using us as a test market. I think this is their Joker. I think they've decided. I mean, they're shooting the damn movie here pretty damn quick. So I think this is what they're going with. So I don't think they put it out to gauge our reaction, but I think you're right. I think they probably had about a dozen different looks. They probably tried Jared in all of them, and this is the one they landed on, I'm guessing. All right, folks, listen, we don't love just taking your questions via email. We also love you on Twitter. So if you've got a question for us, hop on Twitter, tweet the question out. Just make sure that in that tweet, you include the hashtag AMC Movie Talk. That way we can make sure to see it. So Sinead, what are people asking on Twitter?
Jonathan tweets, I read The Revenant starring DiCaprio is being filmed with natural light only. Is this true? And if so, what is your opinion on that?
You know, I heard the same thing. I haven't actually talked to anybody from the studio to verify, but I've been hearing that for a while. But don't confuse that, they're just going to show up, pull out the camera and shoot. Even if they don't bring along some high-powered LEDs or whatever to do, they are still going to use every lighting technique in the book with bouncers and diffusers and all that kind of stuff to get the lighting they want. And I'm sure they will probably cheat here and there to make sure, or else, their cinematographer is probably going to quit. But I think, from what I hear, for the most part, they're just going to get out there, use natural light, then use all the tools that they need to, utilize that natural light as well as they can. But that is my understanding of it. Dennis, have you heard anything different?
No, but yeah, you're right. They're not going to just pull out the camera. They'll use reflectors, silks, diffusion, all that stuff. On a side note, I'd read on one of the Facebook groups, I think one of the fan groups, something about Leonardo DiCaprio. His performance in Revenant is overrated. I'm like, how is it overrated if the movie hasn't come out yet? It's like you've already prejudged his
Damn you, Doc Brown!
Yeah.
Spoiler!
Like, did you go into the future and watch this thing and then now you're going to say it's overrated? That's how far we've come, where it's like, wow, the movie it's not even done yet and you're already prejudging that it's overrated.
It's overrated. Yeah. There hasn't been a single review of it to overrate.
There's no trailer that you could even see.
I haven't heard anything whether or not they're doing it or not, but as far as my opinion on it, I think you let the guy who won the Oscar do what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine.
I think it's going to be okay, and I think it'll probably look beautiful, and I think it's an old school kind of tactic that will it'll show in a Western. That's pretty awesome.
All right, what's next?
Rick Ramier tweets, will we ever see a Michael Jackson biopic?
There's a tough thing with a Michael Jackson biopic, and I think we might have talked about this like 2 years ago, but the thing with a Michael Jackson biopic is this: what do you cover and what do you not cover? Because if you make a Michael Jackson biopic and you go into the allegations about child abuse and things like that, you're going to tick a lot of people off saying that was never proved, those were all just allegations, blah, blah, blah. And they have a point. If you avoid those things and everything, you're going to get a lot of people going, this movie just whitewashes it. They're just glossing over, blah, and they would have a really valid point too. If I'm the studio, and I think Sony has the rights to any potential story on Michael Jackson, I could be wrong about that. But if I'm the studio, it's dangerous ground. I mean, which way do you go? I'm not sure which way you do it. And so, look, will there ever be one eventually? Yeah, I'm just not sure when. And whichever studio jumps up to do it, bravo on the bravery, and whichever direction they go, I just think it's a tough one to call. Christian, how do you see it?
Well, I didn't like the first one they did, the Tim Burton, Willy Wonka. I wasn't a big fan of that one. But I actually, you're right. It's a tough one to do. And will it happen? Yeah, it's going to happen. It's just you think Jobs was hard to put together. Wait until they sit down and they have the teams. When Fincher comes in and whoever comes in, how they're going to deal with it, and absolutely what they're going to cover. I think you got to cover everything, and whether or not you cover, it's a matter of how you present everything, because you can do it in the way. It is tough. I mean, even thinking about it, it's really tough how they do it, but it needs to be done. The guy was royalty. He was royalty, and he still, regardless of what you think about him, even if you hated everything about him, you thought he was the weirdest guy in the world, you're lying if when you're in your car, one of his songs doesn't come on, you're going, oh yeah, all right, I'm moving, and just like that. Yeah. But yeah, I think
I sense a Periscope video coming. Dennis,
they have to cover the allegations, because no one can watch a movie without it and be like, okay, this is his true story. They also have to include when he dangled his baby off the do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
That was just weird. No one should ever do that.
No, that was actually really weird. All right, last one.
Mike tweets, hi guys, quick question. Whatever happened to Jon Favreau's Magic Kingdom movie? Is this still happening or not?
Well, I mean, we first heard about this back in 2012. Basically, it was going to be a night at the museum crossed with Disneyland and stuff like that. Very cool concept. But then that kind of came off the rails. He went off and did Chef, and now he's doing Jungle Book and all that kind of stuff. The last I heard about it, and you guys may know a ton more than I do, but the last I heard about it, mid 2014, Favreau said basically, okay, no, it's not on right now, but he still wants to do it. He still thinks that the film has a lot of potential. It's just the tricky thing is, what do you do with these characters that, other films right now in our current age aren't already doing? But he wants to do it. hearing him saying he still wants to do it tells me it's not actually happening right now. So that's the last that I heard, that it's, as of right now, it's not happening, but Favreau still wants to do it. Dennis, have you heard anything different?
I haven't heard anything different, but I'm excited to see what he does next. I really liked Chef. You know,
I love that
It was
movie.
a nice rebound film from Cowboys and Aliens, which was very.
I forgot about that.
I mean, that was basically his response to that whole movie,
Yeah.
and the Iron Man 2 backlash as well. So if it's something he's actually genuinely excited to do, then I'm all for it.
Christian?
I've heard nothing. But what I agree with Dennis. I think that if it's something, Jon Favreau is one of those guys that when the passion's behind it, he's going to make something pretty special. I mean, I love Chef. I love it. And so to see where he wants to go with it and what eventually comes of it, who knows?
All right, folks. Well, that will do it for us for this installment of AMC Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing at AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www. He's pulling Periscope out already. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theater, showtime, and of course, your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video below, and you'll find a link to our podcast feed. And most importantly, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keep up to date on all the great shows here on AMC Movie News, including AMC Heroes with John Schnepp coming up tomorrow. On Thursday, we got AMC Jedi Council, AMC Coming Soon, AMC Rewind, AMC Indie Spotlight, AMC Mailbag, AMC, whatever periscoping that Christian's doing right now. Check it all out. I also want to thank the guy sitting at the table with me, sitting over here, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You won't find me on Periscope, but you will find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on Instagram, Dennis.tzng.
Over here, Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you?
You'll find me right now on Periscope, letting you guys know about AMC Jedi Council. Make sure every Thursday you're checking that out. Make sure you find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope @Christian Harloff.
Our lovely host today, Sinead DeFries. Sinead, where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Periscope and getting ready to take over Christian's #1 spot for the AMC Movie News crew @Sinead DeFries and at that'ssosinead.com.
I got a feeling that's not going to be hard. And hey, just a couple other quick things too. Listen, if you're in the Los Angeles area, first of all, excited about seeing Avengers Age of Ultron. Remember, hitting AMC theaters everywhere. The first screenings are actually, even though the official launch date is May 1st, the first screenings are obviously on Thursday, the 30th. And if you're in the LA or Burbank area and going to the AMC Burbank 16, you're going to find the likes of Sinead DeFries and Ashley Mova and even myself floating around the AMC Burbank 16, probably going around talking to people. Look for us there. And also on Friday, May the 1st, our friend John Schnepp, he launches his new movie, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. It's going to be playing at the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood, and I am going to be there conducting the Q&A for that afterwards. Get online. I don't think it's sold out yet, so there are still some tickets available. Go check that out there. Anyway, you guys can find me on the social medias, not on Periscope yet, just on Facebook or on Twitter, just @John Campia. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.